Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. Today, we're going to talk about some tips for Estonian company owners, how to avoid 7 common mistakes. My name is Lucas. I am the customer satisfaction manager of your company, Estonian. Now you also can see our CEO, Inacio, is here with me. He's going to help and give some updates and news for you in the end, and will help us in the key Q&A part. Okay, before we start, I would like to give you some information about how our webinar is going to work. First of all, you probably can see that in our chat, you cannot use it. It's disabled only. You just received a message there from Miguel. He's helping us also here on the backstage of our webinar, but you cannot use the chat during the webinar. So in that case, you should, if you have any questions, if you have anything that you'd like to understand more or any comment, you feel free to put for us on the Q&A section. So if you look through in your Zoom window, you can see below a Q&A button. You can click on that and send us your question there. We can help you. We're going to have a special time for it in the end where we're going to talk about it and answer as much questions as we can, and you have time for it. Okay, so let's start. We're going to talk a little bit about the 7 tips here, just for you to understand what is the content that we're going to present you. We have these 7 tips. We're going to talk first a little bit about us, about our company, how it's work, who we are. After, we're going to talk about the tips, which would be invoicing and VAT, you and your company, withdrawing money, crypto, nominee director, fiscal duties, and permanent establishment. Okay, and in the end, we're gonna have a Q&A section with a few surprises for you. So stay tuned until the end. We're gonna see a lot of news from us. Probably you're gonna like a lot. Okay, so first of all, talking a little bit about us, like I said, I am the customer satisfaction manager of your company in Estonia. If this is the first time that you're hearing from us, you can check our website. Every slide here, you will see that it has our website. You can check after the webinar, understand a little bit more about us. But just to give you a short information about it, first of all, we are happy to say that we have more than 1,000 customers worldwide. We enable and empower people to set up their business and work from anywhere in the world. Here is our license, because we are licensed to do that, to help customers opening their companies. We also have an office, a real office in Tallinn. This office is also not just for us, but all of our customers use that as their virtual office, their address of their companies. And we have online company incorporation and business managed platform. So one thing that we are very proud of and we really like is Companio, which is our software that Inacio also can talk about it, because he is one of the developers of the software. Is something that we are very proud of. And it's part of our service, which is a place where you can manage your company and take care of all of your accountancy in an easier way. And also, the last but not least, we are recognized officially by the government of Estonia. So we are in the e-Residence marketplace. We are a member there. You can check our news, that you can check our information there and understand a little bit about us. But this is just a quick context for you to understand a little more about our job, who we are, and what we do. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit more about it in the end, but it's just for you to get to know a little bit more. Okay. So first of all, like I said, we're going to talk about 7 normal problems that we usually see. All of the tips we have here comes from most of it comes from real experience and real questions that we received on our daily basis. So we thought it would be interesting for you to get to know a little bit more. If all these problems, it's something that you already know, that's great news for you, because it means that you are an entrepreneur that knows a lot about the context and the things about being an Estonian entrepreneur. But if you don't, it's always time for us to learn and understand more about it. So don't worry, we're gonna help you through through your path. Okay. One thing that I would like to mention: our webinar is being recorded. So after the webinar today, we're gonna we're gonna put up the recording on YouTube, so you can watch it again if you want. You can share with friends or anyone you want. And also we're gonna share with you by email our presentation. So if you want to check it again in the future, or if you want to read closely some information, you can do it as well. Okay. So the first problem we have here will be invoicing your customers with the wrong VAT percentage. So basically, we know that VAT sometimes is very confusing, especially for those entrepreneurs that are starting their business. They're starting to get to know a little bit more about the Estonian government and rules. And VAT especially works for if you have customers, that if you do business with companies in Europe. So the VAT basically is a way for you to to pay your taxes without having to pay taxes for each and different country in Europe. So if you have business within Europe, you can have a VAT number and you only have to worry about paying this tax without having to pay others. So basically, you will need a VAT number if you are doing business with companies from Europe, okay? So one thing that people always have doubts is when they should or should not include the VAT on their invoices. So first of all, we're going to go through every step when you shouldn't include the VAT, but starting with the basics. If your company does not have a VAT number, you should never put a VAT number on the invoice, because it makes no sense. If you don't have a VAT number, you should not include on your invoice. It can sound very obvious, but when you're starting a company, everything is a bit confusing. So it's normal to have this type of doubts. But first of all, if you don't have a VAT number, you should not add a VAT number on your invoice, okay? And here we created a special scheme to help you understand a little bit more about how you should and when you should not apply your VAT on your invoice. So basically, starting from here, if you do have a VAT number for your company, if you're doing business with companies from Europe, here is how you should issue these invoices with or without the VAT, okay? So first of all, if you have a VAT number and you are doing business with another company from Europe, which also has a VAT number, you should not include VAT on your invoice, because here the VAT will be 0%. You won't pay more if both of you have VATs, okay? The second option, if you're doing business with companies from Europe, but the other company that you're looking for, that you're doing business, if they don't have the VAT number, you should add 20% of VAT on your invoice, because in that way you will be doing the correct, you'll be issuing your invoices in the correct way. And the third option here, if you're doing business with companies from Europe, it's a different type of taxes. If you're doing business with non-VATs, or even if you understand that makes no sense for the company, or if you're doing business with individuals, you should not put a VAT there, but you should look if your company need another type of taxation. What does that mean? For example, here we have MOS. MOS is a type of taxation if you have digital products where people can buy it and download a digital product like an ebook or video or something without your intervention. This is a different type of product and require MOS for you to pay your taxes. And this also applies to IOSS, which is something new in the Estonian laws, but it applies more to companies of drop shipping and on another related type of business. So we're not going to go through all this information here, because it's not our point, our object here. But if you want to know a little bit more about it, we do have some great articles in our blog we can share with you in the future, or you can look in our help center. We explain when you need a MOS, when you need an iOS, how you should do it. We can help you with that, okay? But here's just for you to understand, when do you need to put a VAT or not, when you should include or not the percentage of VAT, okay? Okay, so here we covered the first part. If you have a company with a VAT, when you should or when you should not include in your invoice. Other possibilities. If you do have a VAT and you're doing business with other companies from Estonia, just like yours, you should always include the 20% of VAT. When you're doing business with companies from Estonia, you should always include the 20%, okay? And for the rest of the world, you don't have to include VAT. Like I said, VAT is a type of tax that you only pay if you're doing business within companies from Europe. So if you're doing business with other countries, you should not include VAT on your invoice, okay? So I hope this is a little bit clear for you all, to understand a little bit more about VAT. If you want more information, we can provide you some links and some articles to help you with that. You can check in our blog or our help center, okay? And also everything you can find on our website. So problem 2 would be failing to understand the difference between you and your company. This happens a lot, especially with companies that are starting business, that they're still trying to understand how it works, how is the rules. But it's very important for you to know that you and your company are two different entities. You should not mess one with each other. Here, so we basically will explain how does it work how is the relationship between your corporate bank account and your personal bank account, okay? So like I said, it's very important for you to understand that you and your company are completely two different entities. We have a question once we were asked if, for example, can I buy a Ferrari with the money from my company? No, you can't, because you're buying something for you with the money from your company, and you are two different entities. You should not merge the money, because it are two different things. So basically, the money from the company, the money from corporate bank account, it's money from the company. It's not yours. It's the company's. So you should not worry, you should not make this confuse all these two subjects, okay? So first of all, it's important for you to understand when it's okay for you to send money from your corporate bank account to your personal bank account. You have 4 situations when this is possible, okay? You will only be able, doing the right thing, you would only be able to send money from your corporate bank account to personal bank account on these 4 situations. First of them would be salary. So if you are an entrepreneur in Estonia, you can pay yourself a salary as a board member or as an employee. It depends on how your company works. We can help you understand that as well. But it's okay for you to have a contract with yourself, a work contract where you establish how many of salary you will pay monthly for you. So it is okay for you to monthly send money to your personal bank account if you're paying a salary to you, okay? As long as it's in contract that you will have on if you are one of our clients, you will have inside Companio your contract. We can help you with that, and every month you can send to your personal bank account this money. The second option will be dividends, what is dividends? Basically, when every month you're having incomes for your company from sales or any type of profit that you're making. And then after you receive the money, you will pay your taxes, you pay your salary, you pay everything that the company needs to pay. The money that after you paid everything, if you still have money, this will be considered a profit. So basically, if you want to distribute this profit, you can do it as a dividend, in a way of dividend. Okay, dividends, basically you can pay the shareholders an amount of money based on the company's profit. So if you're distributing dividends, you can also send to your personal bank account, as long as this is an accountancy method. You notify us that you're doing that, and we are gonna help you do that, okay? So this is the second option. The third option is out-of-pocket money. What does that mean? For example, if you are in a business trip, if you're doing something for your company, and in any situation, you may, for example, use your corporate credit card to buy something. I'm sorry, you use your personal credit card to buy something for your company. For example, I'm in a trip and I have to buy something for the company, or I have to buy something, a type of softwares. I don't know. Maybe you have to buy something for the company with your personal credit card. In that way, you will have to justify to the accountancy that you took money from your own pocket to pay for expenses for the company. In that way, if you are able to justify that with an invoice or a receipt or something, you can send money from your corporate bank account to compensate that on your personal bank account. This is the third option for you to send money to your corporate from your corporate to your personal bank account. And the fourth option, it is in the cases of daily allowance. What is it? Basically, for example, let's pretend that you're gonna have a business trip, and if you inform us as accountants for you, if you inform us that you have to do a trip or something, you can say, okay, throughout this trip I will have some amount of money to has as an expense through those days. And if you inform us that you will be able to pick this amount of money and send to your personal bank account, because in that way you are informing the accountancy, you're informing the company that, okay, we're going to have this business trip in a few days, and that way I can send money to my corporate bank account, to my personal, so I can use that in this business trip. However, it's very important, and we're going to talk about it on problem 3. It's very important for you to keep invoices and receipts to justify that for accountancy. Okay. So here are the 4 only ways that you can send your corporate money to your personal bank account. Okay, you cannot use your corporate money to your own expenses. For example, to buy a house, to rent a car, to buy your own car or something like that. This is not allowed, because you're using your corporate money on your personal benefit. Okay. And also, the problem 3, which is very related to the previous one, it is withdrawing money without a justification. What does that mean? Basically, here on the left side, we have some situations where you can make a profit when you are receiving money, incomes, and here on the right part, it's some situations when you can be outcomes of money, when you're sending money to someone or pay someone. Here are some situations. It is very important for you to match every income and outcome of money with some type of document to justify that. It is in accountancy matters, it is you have to do this to make your company legal, to make it work in the best way. So every money that comes to the company, you have to match with an invoice or a receipt for you to make this right. Okay. And every money that comes out of the company, you should always make this match the official document to justify that expense. Okay, so basically, for example, if you have a sale, or what does that mean? If you have money coming to your company, you should have a sales invoice. You should issue a sales invoice to justify that. You have an investment, you need a withdrawal receipt. If you have any other passive income, you should always need an invoice for that. Okay. This will be in cases where you are receiving money. In cases where you are spending this money, for example, if you're doing justify business expenses, for example, I'm buying a software for my company, I'm buying I don't know, maybe any type of cost that you might have for your company, you should always have a purchase invoice attached to that. So every time you have to pay something for the company, you should always ask for your providers an invoice to justify that. Okay. So if you do trips, you need receipts, salaries, you don't need an invoice because you will have the contract to justify it. Dividends, you should always have this also very clear on Companio. We can help you with that. And also estate and bank fees, you don't need a receipt for that, because we will do this for you. We'll pay your estate and bank fees. We'll send to you what you need to pay, and this will be already registered. Okay. So it's very important that every money that comes in and goes out of your corporate bank account, it needs to be attached to some type of receipt that justifies these movements. Okay. Problem 4, dealing with crypto without a license. This is something that can be confusing sometimes, especially because it's something that's kind of new in the Estonian rules, but it's very important for you to know, to see if your company have any type of activity that should require a license. Okay, so first of all, what you can do without having a license. Every company in Estonia can invest through a broker. If you have a company in Estonia, you can invest in a broker. can be in crypto or any type of investment without having a license. What does that mean? You're taking your own money from the company and you're investing for the company. So it's the same, you're doing this by the company, for the company. So you do not need a license to invest for your own company, okay? So every company in Estonia can invest through a broker without worrying about that. Here are some situations where you cannot do it without a license, okay? If your company is planning to do that, if you are planning to offer any type of this service, you should apply for a license first. What would be those situations? First of all, offers crypto exchange to third parties. What does that mean? Like I said, you can invest for your own company without a license, but if you are taking money for customers to invest for them, to exchange for them, you are providing a service with crypto. So for that matter, you need to have a license. You cannot do it without a license. Manage the finances of users or clients in crypto, pay employees in crypto, preparing your own token, ICO, or launch an exchange or wallet service. For all this situation, you must have a license to do it. If you don't have, you cannot do it. Okay, so sometimes we received some questions, for example, my company will provide their own token, an ICO. I will launch business next week, but I still don't have license. Can I do it? No, you can't. You can only provide the service if you have the license. It's the law from Estonia. So as an entrepreneur from Estonia, you should follow their rules. Okay, so here are the do's and don'ts that you can do or not if you're dealing with crypto, okay? Problem 5 would be using a nominee director. This can be a little confusing for if you are not familiar with the case, but it's important for you to understand what is this nominee director. So first of all, what is nominee director? Especially for countries that they have CFC rules, which means, for example, if you're opening a company in Estonia, but you live in Spain, the government of Spain may recognize that your company does not belong to Estonia, belongs to Spain. So in that case, they may ask you to pay more taxes there to justify your business, or other countries that they have their own rules about this. So you should take care and make sure that you know if you have any type of problem in that matter. Sometimes people will ask, okay, my mother lives in another country. For example, I live in a country that goes by CFC rules, but my mother lives in a country that doesn't go by that rules. Can I put my mother as a director of the company so I don't have to pay that tax? No, you cannot, because in that way she would be like we in our article we say like a puppet for you as a director, but in real life, who is working as a director is you. So is that cheating? Yes. By the company, by the Estonian rules, by the Estonian laws, this is considered cheating. It's some type of fraud. So it is forbidden to do that in Estonia. Okay. And also, if you do that, your company is doomed to failure, because you can make claim that someone or from other country. It does not apply only to moms. Okay, maybe you do a partnership with someone with other countries just to put their name as a director, but even though you might sound clever for you to do that, it is not, because they will end up finding out, because like we always said, Estonia is not a tax heaven. Maybe it's a business heaven because they have great rules to help people to start their business and in an easier way. But every type of movement, invoice, or anything related to the company is open to public, and they always have a way to find out if you are operating in this type of system. They will find out as soon or sooner or later. So this will give you a lot of problems in the future if you're doing that, because it's forbidden by the Estonian law. Okay, so you should never consider the option of having a nominee director. Okay, So problem 6, ignoring your fiscal duties. So sometimes people, as we always say, is that the Estonia is a business heaven in a way that it's easy for you to open your company. They have clear laws and things like that. Sometimes people ask, okay, but in Estonia, I don't need to do accounting, right? So I don't need to invoice. I don't need to pay tax. No, you do actually. Like we said, even though Estonia makes easier for you to open a company and rule from everywhere in the world, you do need to play by their rules, their law. So you need to you need to do your fiscal duties. Okay, what will be these fiscal duties? Will be your monthly account. If you have a company in Estonia, you have to submit monthly reports to the registry to make sure to show your movements. You have your corporate duties, for example, contracts, employee contracts, things like that, which also we can help you within Companio, inside Companio. Bank reconciliation, which is that process of matching every expense to an invoice or a receipt, match every income to an invoice or a receipt. This is bank reconciliation, and also annual reports. So you have to send monthly reports, and you also need to send an annual report. Every one of these fiscal duties, we can help you because it's part of our service. So here we have a screenshot of Companio, our platform, where you can do everything you can in an easier way, and we can help you through that process and guide you through the process. So if you are one of our customers, we provide you the platform to do it, and also the guidance and support to do it if you have any questions. Okay, you should not ignore your fiscal duties, otherwise Estonia would also know that you're doing that, and this could give you a lot of problems in the future. Even it can also, for example, comes to close your business or giving you problems with the law in a way that you cannot operate business anymore. So the best option always, which will cause you less trouble in the future, is always to keep your fiscal duties done. It's the best option always. Okay. And the seventh tip here, the problem 7 is triggering a permanent establishment outside of Estonia. So the e-residency program helps a lot of people from every part of the world to launch a business. However, this only works if you do not have a permanent establishment outside, if your company does not have a permanent establishment outside of Estonia. For example, you can only do business in a way that is online, in a way that you can provide your service without having this permanent established. For example, we already had questions like, oh, can I have, I got a carpet shop. Uh, so can I manage my business with a company in Estonia? No, because for you to sell this item, you need to have a physical address to sell your product. So if you have any type of business that requires from you to have a physical address, you cannot have a business in Estonia, because this will trigger a permanent establishment. So you would not be in the requirements to have a business in Estonia. Okay. So for you to understand a little bit more about what can trigger a permanent establishment, first of all, you should always keep in mind the CFC rules. We are not going to explain a lot about that here, but you can check, we can send you some links, and you can check online also which countries is part of, they have these rules. Because for these countries, they might have a different type of rule, even if you have a company in Estonia. This could bring you for double taxation or some type of different rule to pay in the way that make yourself according to the rules. So you should always keep in mind the CFC rules. If your country, the country that you live in, it's inside this type of agreement. Okay, so you can look through that. What else can trigger a permanent establishment? So you cannot have an office rental or a car rental, because if you do that, you will be saying to Estonia that your company needs that office, need that physical address in another country to be working. So if you do that, you will probably have trouble, because you cannot have this type of business in Estonia. Okay, so you cannot rent a car to use normally, or have an office somewhere, because this will trigger permanent establishment. Okay. If your director, you or any director, live in a country with CFC rules, because may the government might understand that even if the company is you open the company in Estonia, if one of the directors that work directly with the company is in one of their countries, this could trigger permanent establishment. And also where the director is tax resident in. So if where the director lives, if this also can give you any type of trigger for permanent establishment. This will relate a lot to the laws from the country that this person is tax resident. Okay, so you should check in the country that you live in or your director live in. If you have shareholders, for example, you should check if this could be a problem for you. Okay. So that will be our content for today. We finish on the mark of 30 minutes exactly. This is great for us. So one of the surprises that we have for you before we start our Q&A section, it is that for now in summer, we are with a special offer regarding our anniversary. Our company is it's kind of our birthday, so we are with a special offer for our anniversary, which is from June 7 to September 7. If you sign with us, even if you're opening a new company or if you're switching your company to from another provider, you won't pay any fee for us to do that process. You would only have to pay state fees if you're opening a new company. And if you are switching your company from another provider, you won't pay nothing to do that. You can sign in our website and we'll help you through that process. Okay, so this would be one of our news for you, one of our surprises. But the other surprise that we have, I will ask Ignacio, our CEO, to join us here to talk a little bit about it and to share with you all this news. Okay, Ignacio?
Thank you very much, Lucas. Hello, everybody. Well, it's been a lot of work, but we have finally finished our integration with the Open Banking API. So that means that inside Companio, Lucas showed you a screen, we allow you to integrate with literally hundreds of banking solutions from all around Europe. That means that you can have a Revolut business bank account for your company or a Wise account or any other fintech solution, but you can also have banking solutions from Estonia like LHV, Coop, SEB, Swedbank, and even banks from, that Estonia allows your company to have a bank account in any country of the European Economic Area. So you can have a bank account for your company in Germany, and we will probably be able to connect to that bank account. So you get the bank movements directly in Companio, and you can get your bank statements there. The accountants can work with your accountancy without bothering you, and that's just amazing. So this I wanted to give this update. And now, if you're okay with it, Lucas, we can go to the Q&A, because we have lots of questions, but we are going to try to answer all of them or most of them if we can, one by one. So let's start with this from Otto. He's asking, can you be a supplier, the provider of your company? Can you invoice a company? If you mean like you're a freelancer, for instance, in another country, maybe in the European Union even, and you can invoice your company, you can do that, certainly, because especially if you are invoicing your company for works or for a job that can be proved. Imagine that you are a freelance designer, so you have this digital web design agency, and you are part of the company, so your work in the company is doing web design. So one option is for this work that you do for your company, in this case web design, in this example, you can actually invoice your company. Be careful just to, there's nothing wrong with that. Just as you are the owner of the company and probably the owner of the other company or a member of the other company, these transactions will be probably reviewed sooner or later. But if it's as I mentioned, for a real work, you have nothing to worry about. So we have Marcus asking, what about business dinner? Is that a business expense? That's a very good question. And it's kind of, in some countries, that can be very confusing. whether a business dinner is really something that you can deduct or not. Is a deductible expense. In Estonia, the law, fortunately, is very clear. And a business dinner is a deductible expense, but you can only deduct the dinner of your customer or your partner or whatever, not your own dinner. So you will present the invoice and see, or the receipt, and say this is the part that my customer or my provider consume, and this is mine. So we can include them in the accountancy correctly. Cesari is asking, can I take a loan from my company? The other way around is possible, meaning imagine that you are starting a company and the company does not have a lot of money. So it's very usual that the members of the company will give some money initially to the company, and that can take the form of a loan from the members of the company to the company. Now, the opposite is not that easy, because in that case, your company is acting as a financial institution, is lending money to an individual, in this case you, even if you are a member of your own company. So for that situation, it's more problematic, and you will need probably that your company has a financial institution license, which is usually kind of complex and requires a lot of requisites.
Yeah, in that case, it's just like it's related to the topic that we said. It's important for us to understand that you and your business are two different entities. So if you're taking a loan from your company to your company, it's okay. But to take from your company to you as a personal, you cannot do that, because it will be just like Inacio said. Maybe it's kind of if you're providing a service as a financial institution, and then this will be a lot more complicated than just taking a loan.
Exactly. Alejandro asks, do I need a license if my customers pay me in crypto? Usually not, if it's just that they pay you in crypto, but what you need is that the invoice reflects the amount in crypto and the amount in euros. The amount in euros should always be there in the invoice. And what we will recommend to avoid any kind of problems or issues, because once you start getting money in crypto, the accounting gets more complicated, and probably you will be subject to a more expensive accounting. So if it's just receiving money from your customers in crypto, what you need, there are solutions out there like that allow, I can't remember right now the name of the company, but there is several companies that allow you to receive money in crypto. The company, the payment, this is like a payment gateway that allows you to receive money in crypto. They transform it to fiat currency and pay you directly. Fiat currency is like euros. So they pay you in euros directly, and you do the invoice in euros, and everything is super clear and transparent. And that's very good for the company. An anonymous attendee asks, I have a non-VAT company under 50K euros. So do I send an invoice for an individual person in another EU country with or without VAT? As Lucas mentioned, as Lucas explained, if you don't have VAT number, you never, ever add VAT to the invoice. That will be a terrible mistake, as he explained. So next one is there any problem to buy real estate in Estonia using OU company? Well, here you have to be careful because we're talking here about the e-Residency program. So that means digital businesses, right? So initially your company maybe doesn't have an office in Estonia. If that's the case, and you have a real estate, your company acquires real estate in, say, Germany, it may happen that the German authorities may consider this property, depending on if it's a warehouse or if it's an office and you have employees there. Depending on the situation of this property, it may be considered what Lucas mentioned also in the last one. It may be considered a permanent establishment. Germany can say, no, you have a building here. The building belongs to your company. You have no other building in Estonia where you say your company is registered, so your company should pay taxes in Germany. You have to be very careful and always have an office in Estonia first, really a permanent establishment in Estonia. Can make a loan? This has been answered. Is there any problem to buy real estate? This is probably the same question. So yes. One person asks, I'm an Iranian national living in Armenia. I have registered a company in Armenia, but for my business, I need PayPal. My question is, given my nationality and US sanctions, if I register a company in Estonia, will I be able to open personal and corporate bank accounts as well as PayPal Business Stripe accounts? Well, the e-Residency program of Estonia is completely open to everybody, right? It doesn't matter where you're from, your nationality or residence, it doesn't matter. So you can apply for e-Residency and open a company in Estonia. Now, banks are different entities, right? Every bank banks have their own AML protocols. Some of them will allow certain nationalities depending on the US sanctions, US sanctions, or even NATO sanctions, any other kind of sanctions. So depending on the bank, you may find trouble or not. It's a lot better to ask this question to every bank you're interested in concretely, PayPal or Stripe, because they are the ones who can give you like an authoritative answer, like, yes, we don't have any problem with your nationality, or no, we apply this list of sanctions, so we cannot give you service. Someone is asking, I have a digital agency with customers in Denmark and Sweden, but the paperwork is too expensive and it takes a lot of time. That's not only in Denmark or Sweden, it's common in all over Europe. So my plan is to open a company in the country that I have the most customers, either Denmark or Sweden later. Have you experienced something similar? Well, our recommendation will be, if you have customers in both countries and you want to go global, why not opening a company in Estonia? You just have to be sure that everything else is in place. Like, it's a digital business, it's location independent, and you don't have any problems, like Lucas mentioned, with any of the points, especially point number 7, the permanent establishment. But our recommendation in these global situations will always be going global, right?
Yeah, I think in that situation, it's important for us to mention that if you are going to open a company in Estonia at first already, you should consider keeping it forever. Like Ignacio said, if you're intending to do business with other countries, even if it's these two, or if you're gonna add more customers in the future, it's better for you to keep your business in Estonia because it's easier to understand the laws and the taxation process. But then, for example, if you open the company in Estonia at first, and then you want to open a company in Denmark or Sweden, will be harder for you to, first of all, to close your company in Estonia, which could take a lot of time and money to do that, to start another business in another country, and will also give you all the problems and paperwork and everything. So my advice here would start at the first where you want to be. So if you, even though with all the paperwork on Denmark or Sweden, if you want to open there, in the end, you should start there first. But our recommendation, of course, would be to open in Estonia, not just because we could help you with that, but because probably if you want to do a global business or to offer your service to more than 2 or 3 countries, will be probably easier to you to have a company in Estonia. So our recommendation would be that.
That's a good advice, actually. And do your homework and really consider where you want to open the company, where is best for you, because as Lucas mentioned, closing a company can take 9-10 months, even sometimes even more, and can cost thousands of dollars. So it's better, thousands of euros in this case. So it's better to have it clear when do a good decision, right? Let's see. Richard is asking, how does it work with setting a subsidiary in Estonia with a UK? We have many questions about setting subsidiaries or branches in Estonia. You can open a branch in Estonia, and that works. Have another mother company in other country, but actually that's gonna make things harder for you, because the paperwork required, the taxes, the conciliation of taxes between different countries can really get complicated. In this case, especially, you're talking about the UK, which is unfortunately now outside of Europe. So that will probably mean a lot more paperwork and a lot more difficulties. So our recommendation is, why not having a company in Europe for your European business, for instance, and a company in the UK, if you already have a company in the UK, for your current clients in the UK. There are many possibilities, but a branch is perfectly possible. This dividend, Sultan asks about dividend distribution. Is the dividend, can the dividend be withdrawn anytime during the year? Not anytime. Usually dividends are distributed once per year. In some some occasions you can distribute more than once per year, but usually it's once per year, and it's when you do the annual report. You do the annual report, and in this annual report, there is this final outcome of dividends, profit or losses. And if there's profit, you can distribute this profit. How much tax is dividend distribution in Estonia? It is 20%. In general, it is 20%. But in some cases, it can be less, but this really does not apply to e-residents. This applies more to companies that are funded by other companies, so like a corporate structure. So in that case, you should always consider that dividends are, for the majority of people, including e-residents, 2080. So that means that if you distribute 8,000 euros in dividends, your company will pay 2,000 euros in taxes. So it's quite simple in that case. Cryptocurrencies, I suppose no license needed for only investing money at a crypto exchange. Exactly. As Lucas mentioned, if it's a crypto exchange, it's nothing but a broker, a fancy broker with a nice interface, but it's a broker that does these operations for you. So if you are just for your company and you want to invest in crypto, that's perfectly fine. Regarding consideration recommendations, it's most of the major crypto exchanges, the more reputable ones work with Estonia without a problem. If I first see the P, 1 second. Then what if I make some payments with the company card for me, gas station, dinner, or lunch with friends? This is what Lucas, what you mentioned too. Can I just deposit the equivalent spend back in the company account for my personal account? Well, you can do that. You should not do that regularly, but if it's like you say, oh, you know, there was a mistake, I paid with the Chrome card and I paid for the gas the gas station with my business card, there's no problem if you can refund back this money from your personal expenses. This is something that happens occasionally. It's not really a big deal.
Yeah, it's doable, but we do not recommend it because it will, of course, give you a lot of more work with your company and accountancy work as well, because you will have to justify all of these expenses and will have to send the money back and also have invoices and receipts about this money that is coming. So to avoid the situation and to do the best way possible, we should follow the idea that you and your company are completely two different things. You should not pay your personal expenses with your corporate money, because your corporate money is the company's money, it's not yours. It's important for us to have this separation in our mind.
Exactly, that's a very good point. Oh, Cecile says happy anniversary. Thank you very much. So regarding the question, I have an authorized representative person in Estonia who has power of attorney for my OU. So basically what you're doing is you are doing it the old way, like having a power of attorney, this person went through to a notary, probably visited a notary, and you register the company through this mechanism. Do I need to be any resident of Estonia as well? Well, you don't need to be any resident of Estonia, but that will make things much better for you because you will be able to manage. The whole point of the residency program of Estonia is that you can manage your company online. You don't need this person in between your company and you with a power of attorney that you have no control over. You are really in control of your company and you can do everything online. So our recommendation, personal recommendation, will be to go for e-residency. Yes. This says, can I adjust, Cecile also asked, can I adjust the salary amount? For example, lower salary when sales are lower. That makes sense if you mentioned, as you mentioned, the salary fluctuates with the profits of the business. So if imagine that your business is going well and then suddenly you have 3 bad months. So it's perfectly fine that your salary can be a little bit lower. And then 3 months later, you land a really good contract and then your earnings really skyrocket. So it's perfectly fine if you assign yourself a higher salary. In that case, what we recommend, and we can have this implemented in Companio, is that you have a variable salary. And how does that work? It's like you have a base salary and you have a bonus amount that you can add or remove. So every month, if it's a bad month, you can like no add not avoid adding this bonus, but if it's a good month, you can add this bonus. So that's perfectly doable. How much can I spend on lunches, gifts, etc. for employees? Well, gifts is not usually a good idea because it's it's always in a shady territory. So avoid gifts. On lunches, there is no. It depends on the arrangement you have with the employee, I guess. You can include them in the contract or not. There's no limit as hard limit or something written on the law. The max limit for lunches for employees is 1,000 euros. But you have to always apply common sense. If you are paying 1,000 euros, for example, this is a silly example, to one employee, and this employee is receiving 3,000 euros in lunch bonuses or something, that may be kind of suspicious. Not suspicious, but maybe weird. I wish to set up one. Birbal asks, I am in India and I have my residency card. I wish to set up my company in Estonia. We shall set up our company to promote the residency of Estonia. How can we enhance to make it professionally? There are actually many communities in India that we are aware of about their residency and entrepreneurs who are promoting e-residency. And maybe Miguel can put something in the chat so you can have a look at that. And of course, being part of the community and forming community and creating community is always good for your residents. How can Saed asks, how can I, for example, my company is letterhead without an address? Your company always has an address. It's not if you don't have a physical address, like you don't rent offices, you will have a virtual office there. So you need to have this place where the Estonian government can go to send a letter to you, or someone can go and find you, and that's the legal address of your company. You will always have this legal address, even if you don't have an office there. We, for instance, in our services, we include this virtual address, virtual office, legal address, and person of contact completely free. So, what kind of license will it be needed to manage equity investment accounts through a broker to customers and charge for that? If you are using a broker, probably you don't need a license. But if you want to become a broker and you want to manage equity investments for your customers, you need the financial institution license, FFA. So have a look at it, and you will need the help of a law firm to get the license. And it requires a lot of AML protocols, of course, anti-money laundering and all that stuff. So please have a look at the licenses.
Yeah, we can. It's also good for us to mention here that we can only help you and offer your advice on accountancy matters, because it's the service that we provide. So if you need to understand a little bit more about the how it's legal or not, which type of license, so in that case you should look for a legal advice, a legal firm to help you on that. Because in that matter we cannot really advise you, because we only can give you advice on Estonian law about accountancy and your accountancy as well. So in that case, we suggest you to look for a legal firm to help you with that matter, okay?
Exactly. Can I give a loan to other company from the company without being a financial institution? No, if your company is offering loans, that's a financial institution activity, so you need the license. Marcus says, I mean that in my case, residency will be part of it, an office. If your residence is outside of Estonia, then you are incurring in what Lucas mentioned as a permanent establishment outside of Estonia. Our recommendation is always to avoid that, because it's not, if you have a company in Estonia, this is actually perfect for digital nomads and location independent entrepreneurs, but also for global startups and people that don't want to be constrained to the limits of a country, or that want to go global. But if you have a permanent establishment outside of Estonia, and that's going to happen, what will happen is that your company will be considered to have a permanent establishment in this other country. Let's put an example, Germany, right? So Germany will ask your company to do their tax obligations in Germany, pay taxes there, etc. So that's kind of bureaucracy issue because you will have to manage a company in Estonia that has to report and pay taxes in Germany, and that's always a lot more hassle that you don't really want in your life. Dimitrios is asking, what is more profitable tax-wise for a non-Estonian resident EU citizen? Having a steady monthly salary or pay dividends? Depends a lot. More than profitable, well, tax-wise, I will say it depends a lot on if you need a steady income, or you can survive for 12 months without an income, knowing that you will distribute dividends at the beginning of the year, and you will have enough for the whole year. So that's a consideration just to have into account. It's more profitable depends a lot on, as you know, depending on your activity, the activity you do for your company and your place of residence. If you're outside of Europe, for instance, the amount of taxes that will be applied to your salary change a lot. So the extreme case is a freelancer living in a non-CFC country like Thailand and doing freelancer activities. So in that case, probably a very small amount, close to 0 or 0% taxes will be applied in Estonia. And then you probably will need or not to pay taxes in Thailand, but that's something that you need to understand talking to a lawyer or an accountant there in Thailand. As always, it depends a lot on your situation. And if you live, for instance, in Germany, or you don't live anywhere and you travel, different tax regimes will apply to you. So our recommendation is to maybe ask us through our help page, and we can discuss your specific case, because it depends a lot on,
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because it always depends in every case, where do you live, or how you're separating your employee salary or your board member salary, if you need or not a board member salary. So it depends a lot on how you're planning to set up your company. And also, of course, we can advise you on the taxes from Estonia, but like Ignacio said, the money that you receive as a person in the country that you live in, you also have to declare to the government of the country that you live in. So you should, maybe depending on your situation, on your case, look for accountancy advice on your country to understand better your situation. But if you have you want to understand a little bit more about that, send us a message, a ticket on our help center. We have a page with yourcompanyestonia.com/help. Is it right? Yes, I think.
Yes.
/help, and we can help you understanding better your situation and how you can manage you set up your company. Okay.
And dividends is the same, as Lucas mentioned. Imagine that you have a situation, for instance, two extreme cases. If you live in Spain and you distribute yourself dividends, from the very first euro you will have to pay taxes in Estonia when you distribute dividends, because that's profit distribution, as Lucas mentioned. But you also will have to pay taxes in Spain, because you're receiving dividends, and Spanish law is very specific on that. But if you live in Estonia, imagine that you go to Estonia to live it. That's a possibility. You are living there. If you receive dividends from your Estonian company, you don't have to pay any extra taxes. So you will only your company will pay taxes for these dividends, and you will not pay anything extra. So a lot of different configurations are possible.
Exactly. And especially because dividends will always have tax on them. And sometimes the salary won't have, or will have just part of it. So it's important for us to understand better your situation.
Okay, so next, how to check if a certain bank in my country works with your API? Please send us a message, and we will check. It's very, we have a list, so don't worry. Does an invoice in USD or other fiat also have to have the exchange rate in euro? Yes, that's because the accountancy, the bookkeeping in Estonia is made in euros. So you need to include the amount, the converted amount of euros at the moment in which you issue the invoice. Indica is asking, can I start a digital marketing agency? Of course, that's one of the best possible activities that I can think of to a company in Estonia. Alejandro is asking, do you have customers with high risk business, and how do you help these customers establish the company? Well, we have our own risk profile for our customers. So we have all the types of risks, not all. We have the 4 classifications of risk. So we put our customers in one of other categories, but it's true that we don't serve all kind of activities or all kind of customers. So my recommendation will be that you contact us and explain your business, what you do, and we can give you a very authoritative answer about that.
So I think as we are with a short time here, we could also answer one more question and our talk. What do you think?
Yes, that makes sense. Unfortunately, we have like 25
a lot
open
of questions.
a lot of questions. Sorry, we cannot answer all of them. So let's go with the last one. For instance, is saying, if I start a digital marketing agency, do I need any kind of license? No, you don't need any kind of license. That activity is perfectly, is one of the most clear activities out there. So,
Yes.
yeah, exactly. We ran out of time, and unfortunately, I'm very sorry, but please don't hesitate. I see there are lots of open questions still. Please don't hesitate to send us a message through our contact page. I guess Miguel included the link.
Yes,
here,
in
so
the chat.
Exactly. I will before letting Lucas say goodbye to everybody, I will like to thank you for being here and talking to us.
Yes, I would like to thank everyone who participated with us, especially all the interaction. We are very happy to see you interacting and trying to understand more. We're sorry that unfortunately we cannot answer all questions right now. But if you do have any questions or if you need any more clarification on a subject, please go to the link that we sent you on chat, yourcompaniestonia.com/help, and send us a ticket. Our customer support team will be more than happy to help you through the process. And remember that right now, if you're already an entrepreneur and you already have a company in Estonia and you want to switch to our business, to us as a provider, you can do that right now without any additional fee, and you can understand a little bit more on our website. Okay, if you have any questions, if you want to understand more, or if you are trying or thinking about opening a new business, we are more than happy to help you. Okay, so thank you so much everyone for being here with us today and for sharing this participation and content. We will send you by email our presentation and the link of the record so you can watch it again if you want. And if you need anything, count on us and we will be more than happy to help you. Okay, thank you so much and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Thank you, Aita.